Okay, so this is going to be the first lesson on coordinate geometry, and the first thing I would like to talk about is how to find delta x and delta y. So these are going to be useful for finding the distance and the slope. So basically you're given 2 points and you have to find delta x, let's say. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to figure out how much distance there is between these two numbers. So we could draw a number line, and we start at -2 and we want to get to 3. So the first thing we do is we have to move to 0 and then we move to 3. So it takes 2 units to move to 0. It takes 3 more additional units to go to 3. So the total distance traversed is going to be 5 units. So there's a little quick sort of guide here. And using this guide will help us sort of figure it out much faster. So the question is, do we cross 0? So as we go from -2 to 3, do we cross 0? The answer is yes, right? And so therefore we only have to add the number parts. So the number parts are just the 2 and 3 respectively. So we just add those together and we get 5, okay? And the next question is, did we go up or down? And from -2 to 3 we went up, so that's why we have this positive sign here for delta x. Okay, so now we do the same thing for delta y. So we are going from 7 to 4, right? So the question of do we cross 0, the answer is no. Okay, so then what we have to do is we have to subtract the number parts. So again, we don't care about the sign. So even if these were negative, we wouldn't matter. We just take the number parts and we subtract them, and so we get 3. And then so that's the magnitude, and then to get the direction here, we ask it, do we go up or down? And from 7 to 4 we're going down, so that's why we see the minus sign over here. Now when we're putting it together, okay, the first thing we want to do is to find the distance formula. We're going to use actually something that looks exactly like Pythagorean theorem. Okay, the only difference is that instead of using c, we're using d for distance. Instead of using a, we're using delta x, and instead of using b, we're using delta y. Okay, so this is much preferable to the ugly distance formula that they provide in high school textbooks, which looks something more like this, and it's very easy to forget, but it's a nightmare of a formula, so we'd rather not use that. Okay, so anyway, all we have to do is plug in our delta x and our delta y. So we square each and then add them together, and then we take the square root of the result, and that'll give us our distance. Now to find the slope, we are also going to use delta y and delta x, but in a different way. We're just going to divide them. Okay, but this time notice that we're going to use the signs that we determined based on whether it went up or down. Okay, so it's going to be +5 and -3, so that's going to make a -5/3 altogether. All right, so that's how we find distance and slope using delta x and delta y.